The first expedition to ZYX-7 arrived during the planet's long dawn, when twin suns painted the sky in impossible gradients of violet and gold. Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped onto the surface, her boots sinking slightly into ground that pulsed faintly beneath her weight. The air was breathable, but carried an electric charge that made every hair on her body stand on end. Around them, crystalline trees stretched hundreds of meters into the sky, their translucent bark refracting light into rainbows that danced across the landscape. From the beginning, something felt different. Not just the alien beauty of it all, but a subtle pressure against her consciousness, like standing too close to a powerful radio transmitter. Her team reported similar sensations: headaches, fleeting images of unfamiliar places, voices that couldn't possibly be real. At first, they dismissed these as effects of fatigue or unknown atmospheric properties. But then came the incident with Dr. Park. He had wandered off alone to collect samples near a grove of what they dubbed memory trees, slender stalks that seemed to hum with contained energy. When they found him hours later, he was sitting cross-legged in the center of the grove, eyes closed, face wearing an expression of profound peace. "They're speaking to me," he kept saying, though his lips never moved. Back at the base camp, neurological scans showed unprecedented activity in his brain, areas lighting up that shouldn't even exist according to current medical knowledge. Meanwhile, the mining operation had already begun establishing itself on the opposite hemisphere. Massive drills chewed through the planet's crust, seeking deposits of cryonite, the rare mineral that could revolutionize Earth's energy crisis. Corporate executives on Earth were ecstatic. Initial surveys suggested enough cryonite to power humanity for centuries. Environmental impact assessments were deemed unnecessary. After all, how much damage could they do to a planet that appeared largely barren? But appearances were deceiving. Beneath the surface, an intricate web of neural connections linked every living organism on ZYX-7 into a single, planet-spanning consciousness. The mining operations weren't just destroying physical terrain, they were severing vital pathways in this cosmic brain. And like any wounded creature, the planet would soon begin to fight back. As weeks turned into months, the research team established a permanent observation post near the equator, where the planet's unique ecosystem manifested most dramatically. Towering crystal formations rose from the ground like frozen lightning bolts, their surfaces etched with constantly shifting patterns that seemed to respond to the presence of observers. The air vibrated with a low-frequency hum that resonated in the chest cavity, creating a constant awareness of being watched by countless invisible eyes. Dr. Marcus Chen, the team's xenobiologist, became particularly fascinated by the small, floating organisms they nicknamed thought weavers. These delicate creatures resembled terrestrial jellyfish, but instead of tentacles, they trailed filaments of pure energy that wove complex patterns in the air. Through careful observation, Chen discovered that these patterns corresponded directly to changes in the surrounding environment, temperature shifts, approaching weather systems, even the emotional states of nearby researchers. It was as if the thought weavers served as mobile sensors for the planetary consciousness. The breakthrough came during a routine survey of a newly discovered valley. Unlike other areas, this one responded violently to their presence. Plants retracted their leaves, bioluminescent fungi dimmed their glow, and the thought weavers formed tight clusters that rotated rapidly, creating miniature vortexes of psychic energy. Dr. Vasquez experienced a sudden, overwhelming flood of images, memories that couldn't possibly be hers. She saw the valley before human arrival, teeming with life forms she'd never encountered. Then she saw destruction, massive machines tearing apart the landscape, severing the delicate neural connections that bound the ecosystem together. Back at the lab, the team worked feverishly to document their findings. They developed new instruments capable of measuring the planet's psychic field, revealing a complex network of energy pathways that mirrored neural connections in the human brain. Each species played a specific role. Some acted as synapses, others as neurotransmitters, while larger organisms functioned like specialized brain regions. The implications were staggering. They weren't studying individual alien species, but components of a single, planet-sized intelligence. but time was running out. Mining operations had expanded exponentially, driven by insatiable demand from Earth. Reports filtered in of increasingly strange phenomena around excavation sites, equipment malfunctioning without explanation, workers experiencing vivid hallucinations, and most disturbingly, cases of temporary memory loss where victims claimed to have no recollection of several hours of their lives. The corporate overseers dismissed these as psychological effects of isolation and stress, but the science team recognized them for what they truly were: early signs of the planet's retaliation. The first confirmed case of possession occurred 3 standard months after mining operations began. Technician Sarah Mitchell was conducting routine maintenance on a drilling rig when she suddenly froze, her body going rigid as if struck by an electrical current. Her colleagues watched in horror as her eyes clouded over, turning completely white, while her limbs moved with jerky, unnatural precision. She spoke in a voice that wasn't hers, a chorus of overlapping tones that resonated painfully in the observers' skulls. "Your actions harm us," the voice declared through Sarah's mouth. "Cease immediately or face consequences." Then, as suddenly as it began, the episode ended. Sarah collapsed, unconscious but unharmed. When she awoke hours later, she had no memory of the event, only vague impressions of being submerged in warm water while countless voices whispered around her. This marked the beginning of a terrifying pattern. More and more workers fell victim to these possessions, each episode lasting longer and becoming more intense. The possessed individuals exhibited extraordinary abilities, manipulating machinery with their minds, healing injuries instantly, even levitating briefly before collapsing from exhaustion. Brain scans revealed massive restructuring of neural pathways during possession, with new connections forming at an alarming rate. Some subjects never fully recovered, retaining enhanced cognitive abilities but suffering from persistent migraines and occasional blackouts. Dr. Park, who had maintained his original connection to the planetary consciousness, provided crucial insights. He explained that the possessions weren't random attacks but carefully calculated attempts to communicate. The planetary mind was trying to bridge the gap between species, forcing human brains to temporarily adopt alien neural patterns. Unfortunately, most human nervous systems couldn't handle the strain. Several subjects suffered severe neurological damage, requiring emergency evacuation to orbital medical facilities. Corporate leadership responded predictably by classifying the incidents and threatening anyone who spoke about them with immediate termination. Security forces established quarantine zones around affected areas, but the possessions continued spreading. Workers began refusing assignments near known hotspots, leading to production delays that threatened the entire operation. The situation reached a crisis point when the head of security himself became possessed during a routine patrol, broadcasting a message to the entire colony before his subordinates could intervene. "You are children playing with fire," the security chief declared in that same haunting chorus of voices. "Your technology is crude, your understanding limited. Cease your destructive activities, or we will demonstrate our capabilities." When the episode ended, the man was catatonic, his brain showing levels of activity previously thought impossible without artificial enhancement. The science team gathered in their underground laboratory, walls vibrating with the constant thrum of the planet's psychic field. Dr. Vasquez projected their latest findings onto the holographic display, a complex map showing neural pathways radiating outward from the mining sites, many of them severed or damaged. "It's not just about the physical destruction," she explained, pacing back and forth. "Each destroyed pathway disrupts communication between different parts of the planetary consciousness. Imagine having sections of your own brain cut off. How would you react?" Dr. Chen added his observations about the thought weavers, whose behavior had changed dramatically in recent weeks. "They're attempting to repair the damage," he said, pulling up video footage of the creatures weaving more complex patterns than ever before. "But their efforts aren't enough. Without intervention, the entire network could collapse." He pointed to data showing increased psychic activity near damaged areas. The planetary consciousness was essentially screaming in pain. Their proposed solution was radical: create a neural interface that could translate human thoughts into patterns comprehensible to the planetary mind. This would allow direct communication without the need for potentially fatal possessions. The technical challenges were immense. Human and alien neural structures were fundamentally different, and any misstep could result in catastrophic feedback loops. But they had no choice. Traditional diplomacy was impossible with a species that existed entirely as a collective consciousness. Working around the clock, the team modified existing neural interface technology, incorporating elements inspired by the Thought Weaver's energy filaments. Dr. Park proved invaluable, using his unique connection to guide their design choices. The key isn't just translating language, he explained during one late-night brainstorming session. We need to convey intent, emotion, the very essence of our being. The planetary mind understands concepts, not words. As they refined their prototype, strange occurrences began affecting their work. Equipment would spontaneously activate or shut down, samples would rearrange themselves into meaningful patterns, and sometimes entire rooms would fill with that now familiar chorus of voices. Rather than fear these events, the team interpreted them as encouragement. The planetary consciousness was monitoring their progress and offering subtle assistance. Their breakthrough came unexpectedly. During testing of the interface prototype, Dr. Vasquez experienced a moment of perfect clarity. For several seconds, she didn't just understand the planetary mind. She became part of it. She witnessed the birth of the ecosystem millions of years ago, the evolution of its various components into their current roles, and the growing threat posed by human activity. Most importantly, she understood the planetary mind's desperation to protect itself and its willingness to sacrifice everything to do so. Armed with this knowledge, the team finalized their interface design. They knew success wasn't guaranteed. The next step would require someone to maintain a prolonged connection with the planetary consciousness, risking permanent neural damage or worse. But they also understood that failure meant the complete annihilation of this unique form of life, and possibly humanity's own destruction as well. The day of the first sustained contact arrived under ominous skies, twin suns partially obscured by gathering storm clouds that glowed with unnatural hues. Dr. Vasquez volunteered to serve as the primary interface operator, her neural patterns already showing signs of adaptation from previous brief exposures. Strapped into the interface chair, surrounded by humming equipment and concerned colleagues, she initiated the connection protocol. At first, there was only silence, a deafening void that pressed against her consciousness like deep ocean pressure. Then came the voices, thousands upon thousands of them, speaking simultaneously in a language that defied conventional understanding, yet somehow made perfect sense. Images flooded her mind, not mere pictures, but complete sensory experiences compressed into instants of comprehension. She saw through the eyes of thought weavers as they danced among the crystal trees, felt the slow pulse of nutrients through the root networks that connected everything, experienced the collective joy of successful pollination seasons spanning centuries. But beneath these wonders lay mounting distress. The planetary consciousness showed her the scars left by mining operations, vast dead zones where once vibrant neural pathways had been obliterated. She felt the pain of severed connections, the disorientation of isolated components struggling to function without their usual support network. Worst of all, she understood the growing resolve to eliminate the threat, regardless of cost. Through this torrent of information, Dr. Vasquez managed to project her own thoughts. She showed the planetary mind images of Earth, overcrowded cities, polluted skies, resources stretched to their limits. She conveyed humanity's desperate need for new energy sources, not out of greed but survival. Most importantly, she demonstrated genuine remorse for the damage caused, coupled with a sincere desire to make amends. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The voices shifted from accusation to curiosity, from hostility to cautious interest. The planetary mind presented its own counterproposal, a demonstration of the true cost of continued mining. Dr. Vasquez found herself experiencing visions of the future, mining operations expanding unchecked, ecosystems collapsing, the delicate balance giving way to chaos. In this timeline, the planetary consciousness would unleash its full defensive capabilities, driving the human colonists mad with psychic assault until they destroyed themselves. Breaking the connection left Dr. Vasquez physically and mentally exhausted, but with crucial information. The planetary mind wasn't inherently hostile, it simply lacked understanding of human motivations and limitations. Moreover, it recognized the potential benefits of cooperation. Perhaps humanity's technological capabilities could help heal some of the damage already done. However, it required absolute assurance that mining operations would cease permanently. The science team faced their greatest challenge yet, convincing corporate leadership to abandon lucrative operations based on abstract concepts and personal testimony. Worse, they had only days to achieve this. The planetary mind had demonstrated remarkable patience thus far, but its tolerance was finite. Already, reports of spontaneous possessions were increasing in frequency and intensity, and mining equipment was experiencing unprecedented malfunctions. The boardroom meeting took place under heavy security, with corporate executives appearing via secure holographic transmission from Earth. Dr. Vasquez stood before them, flanked by her team, each member holding evidence of their discoveries. Behind her, holoscreens displayed irrefutable proof of the planetary consciousness, neural activity maps, behavioral studies, documented possessions, and economic projections showing sustainable alternatives to mining. "We're not just talking about preserving an ecosystem," Dr. Vasquez began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We're facing a form of intelligence that makes our own look primitive by comparison. This isn't about environmental protection. It's about first contact with a species that could either become our greatest ally or our most devastating enemy." She activated the neural interface, allowing the executives to experience a carefully controlled fraction of the planetary consciousness. Faces paled as they felt the weight of countless interconnected minds, the intricate dance of billions of components working in perfect harmony. Some broke the connection almost immediately, overwhelmed by the alien nature of the experience, while others remained, fascinated despite their discomfort. Chief Executive Officer Harold Grayson, known for his ruthless business acumen, rubbed his temples after terminating the connection. "Impressive," he admitted grudgingly. "But you're asking us to walk away from trillions in potential profits. Shareholders won't stand for it." Dr. Park stepped forward, activating another set of displays. "What about the costs of continuing?" he countered. "Medical expenses for affected workers, equipment failures due to psychic interference, decreased productivity as fear spreads through the workforce. Not to mention the ethical implications of genocide against an intelligent species." The debate raged for hours, punctuated by increasingly urgent status updates from the colony. Possessions were occurring multiple times daily now, and mining yields had dropped by 60% due to equipment malfunctions. The planetary consciousness was making its position clear: cooperate or face escalating consequences. Finally, Grayson signaled for silence. "Very well," he said, his expression unreadable. "We'll suspend operations pending further review. But I want daily progress reports on finding alternative solutions." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the science team momentarily stunned by their unexpected victory. Their celebration was short-lived. Within hours, the planetary consciousness responded by initiating its promised demonstration. Across the colony, humans found themselves unable to control their own bodies, forced to watch as they performed complex tasks, repairing damaged ecosystems, planting new growth, dismantling mining equipment. These episodes lasted for hours, leaving victims physically and mentally drained but strangely enlightened about the planet's needs. The science team realized this wasn't punishment, but education. The planetary consciousness was teaching them how to heal the damage while there was still time. Working quickly, they began documenting these forced actions, analyzing the techniques used to restore damaged areas. With each passing day, they grew closer to developing a comprehensive rehabilitation plan, one that might satisfy both humanity's needs and the planet's requirements. As the forced demonstrations continued, patterns emerged in the planetary consciousness's methodology. Victims reported consistent sequences of actions, each designed to repair specific types of ecological damage. Dr. Chen noted that these instructions followed a precise hierarchy, first addressing immediate threats to survival, then focusing on long-term sustainability, and finally incorporating aesthetic considerations that suggested an appreciation for beauty beyond mere functionality. The most dramatic transformations occurred in areas where mining operations had been most intensive. Vast craters left by excavations began filling with nutrient-rich fluids secreted by specially adapted organisms, creating new habitats for aquatic species. Damaged crystal trees regenerated at accelerated rates, their growth guided by swarms of thought weavers that wove protective energy fields around vulnerable areas. Even the atmosphere responded, with oxygen levels rising as new photosynthetic organisms spread across the landscape. However, these changes came at a cost. Humans subjected to prolonged possession began exhibiting permanent alterations to their neural structure. Many developed enhanced cognitive abilities, perfect recall, accelerated learning, intuitive understanding of complex systems. But these gifts were accompanied by debilitating side effects, chronic headaches, sensitivity to electromagnetic fields, and occasional fugue states where individuals acted on alien impulses beyond their control. Dr. Vasquez and her team worked tirelessly to develop countermeasures, creating medication cocktails to mitigate the worst symptoms while preserving beneficial adaptations. They established support groups for affected individuals, helping them cope with their transformed existence. Some embraced their new abilities, volunteering for additional possessions to accelerate their adaptation. Others struggled, longing for their former normalcy, while fighting against unwanted enhancements. The mining corporation's response evolved through distinct phases. Initial resistance gave way to reluctant cooperation as evidence mounted that the planetary consciousness intended to preserve, not destroy. Technical teams began collaborating with possessed workers, documenting restoration techniques, and adapting them for mechanical implementation. Financial analysts, initially horrified by lost revenue projections, discovered unexpected opportunities in developing sustainable resource extraction methods compatible with the planet's ecosystem. Most remarkably, communication between species improved dramatically. Through repeated exposure, humans developed rudimentary ability to perceive the planet's psychic field directly, while the planetary consciousness learned to modulate its messages for greater clarity. Simple concepts could now be exchanged without full possession, though complex discussions still required direct interface. The science team established protocols for safe communication, creating designated areas where controlled interactions could occur without risk of accidental contamination. 6 months after the initial suspension of mining operations, the colonies stood transformed. Where once had sprawled industrial complexes, now spread gardens of alien vegetation, tended by hybrid teams of human gardeners and their possessed counterparts. Massive biodomes housed experimental projects combining human technology with alien biology, self-healing construction materials grown from modified crystal tree fibers, atmospheric processors powered by thought weaver energy fields, and revolutionary medical treatments derived from the planet's unique biochemistry. Dr. Vasquez led the scientific effort from a new research facility built according to designs provided by the planetary consciousness. Its architecture blended human engineering with organic growth patterns, walls pulsing softly, with internal light while maintaining optimal environmental conditions through passive systems. Here, researchers worked alongside their adapted colleagues, their differing perspectives combining to yield breakthroughs neither group could have achieved alone. The mining corporation, renamed Terra Nova Resources following a major restructuring, shifted its focus to sustainable development. Former executives found themselves managing ecotourism initiatives, supervising limited harvesting of renewable resources, and coordinating Earth's desperate attempts to replicate ZYX-7's technologies. Profits remained substantial, though generated through vastly different means than originally envisioned. Most significantly, a new social order emerged within the colony. Those who had undergone possession formed a distinct subculture, their altered neural patterns enabling them to serve as natural intermediaries between species. They organized themselves into guilds specializing in different aspects of interspecies cooperation, communication specialists, ecosystem engineers, cultural ambassadors. Regular meetings between these groups and the planetary consciousness ensured mutual understanding and coordinated efforts to restore damaged areas. Education became paramount. Children born on ZYX-7 developed innate sensitivity to the planet's psychic field, suggesting evolutionary adaptation to their unique environment. Schools incorporated training in mental discipline and energy manipulation alongside traditional subjects, preparing the next generation to navigate this unprecedented partnership. Even adults underwent mandatory adaptation programs, learning techniques to shield their minds while remaining open to beneficial influences. The planetary consciousness itself evolved through interaction with humanity. Its once rigid responses softened, showing capacity for humor, creativity, and even affection. Through the neural interface, researchers discovered evidence of new neural pathways forming within the collective mind, areas devoted to understanding and integrating human concepts of individuality, art, and abstract thought. Despite apparent progress, tensions simmered beneath the surface. A faction within Terra Nova Resources, calling themselves the Pragmatists, argued that accommodation had gone too far. Led by former Security Chief Margaret Cole, they maintained that humanity's survival depended on unrestricted access to ZYX-7's resources, regardless of cost. Their propaganda campaign gained traction among workers frustrated by restrictions and yearning for the prosperity promised by unfettered mining. The conflict came to a head during an attempted coup. Pragmatist operatives seized control of several key facilities, including the main power station and communications array. Their plan involved triggering a cascade failure in the planetary consciousness's neural network, creating a window of opportunity for renewed mining operations. However, they underestimated both their opponents and their host planet. Possessed individuals throughout the colony responded instinctively, their adapted neural patterns detecting the threat before conventional security measures. Through the psychic field, they coordinated a defense that baffled traditional military tactics. Doors sealed themselves against intruders, equipment failed only where necessary to prevent violence, and possessed workers materialized precisely where needed to neutralize threats without lethal force. Dr. Vasquez found herself at the heart of the crisis, maintaining constant interface with the planetary consciousness while directing the colony's response. Through this connection, she witnessed the true extent of the danger, not just to the colony, but to the entire planet. The Pragmatists' plan would have created irreparable damage to critical neural pathways, potentially fragmenting the planetary mind beyond recovery. The resolution came through unexpected means. As Pragmatist leaders prepared to execute their final phase, they were overwhelmed by simultaneous possession, not aggressive takeover, but gentle demonstration. Each conspirator experienced personal visions tailored to their deepest fears and aspirations, showing the consequences of their actions in stark detail. When the episode ended, they emerged shaken but transformed, their militant certainty replaced by profound understanding of the stakes involved. In aftermath, the colony implemented stricter safeguards against similar crises. Neural monitoring systems tracked patterns associated with hostile intent, while educational programs emphasized the symbiotic relationship between species. Most importantly, regular interface sessions became mandatory for all colony leadership, ensuring first-hand experience of the planetary consciousness's perspective. The incident strengthened rather than weakened interspecies cooperation. Survivors of the possession reported unprecedented clarity regarding their role in this unique ecosystem. Their testimonies helped bridge remaining gaps between pro-conservation and pro-development factions, fostering genuine dialogue rather than entrenched opposition. With immediate threats neutralized, attention turned to long-term stability. Dr. Vasquez proposed creation of a permanent interface chamber, not merely a communication station, but a living bridge between species. Drawing on lessons learned from earlier prototypes, the team designed a structure that would grow and evolve alongside its purpose, incorporating both human technology and alien biology in dynamic equilibrium. Construction proceeded under joint supervision, human engineers working alongside their possessed counterparts to implement specifications received directly from the planetary consciousness. The resulting structure defied conventional architectural principles. Walls flowed like liquid crystal, floors rippled with responsive energy patterns, and ambient lighting adjusted automatically to optimize mental clarity. At its heart lay the interface nexus, a pulsing sphere of pure psychic energy maintained by constant contributions from both species. Regular interface sessions became ritualistic experiences, conducted according to protocols developed through trial and error. Participants entered in carefully orchestrated groups, their neural patterns preconditioned to accept alien influence without losing individual identity. Sessions began with simple exercises, sharing basic sensory experiences, exchanging mathematical concepts, exploring fundamental emotions. Gradually, complexity increased as participants grew comfortable navigating the shared mental space. These exchanges yielded astonishing results. Human creativity combined with alien efficiency produced innovations unimaginable through either species alone. Medical treatments developed through interface sessions cured previously intractable conditions, both physical and mental. Agricultural techniques merged human crop science with alien growth patterns, yielding harvests that nourished body and mind simultaneously. Even social structures evolved, adopting hybrid forms that balanced individual achievement with collective welfare. The planetary consciousness, in turn, absorbed human concepts of progress and innovation. New forms of alien life emerged, adapted specifically for symbiotic relationships with human technology. Thought weavers evolved specialized filaments capable of interfacing directly with electronic systems, while crystal trees developed branches that functioned as natural solar collectors and data storage units. The entire ecosystem began functioning as living infrastructure, supporting human habitation while maintaining its essential integrity. Most remarkably, the interface chamber enabled exploration of abstract concepts previously inaccessible to either species. Mathematics took on new dimensions as human logic combined with alien intuition. Art forms emerged that existed purely in psychic space, experienced rather than observed. Philosophy evolved to encompass viewpoints that transcended traditional notions of self and other, individual and collective, life and consciousness. 3 years after establishment of the interface chamber, the colony stood as testament to successful first contact. Its population had stabilized at approximately 5,000 permanent residents, each contributing uniquely to the ongoing synthesis of human and alien cultures. Traditional distinctions between scientist and subject, colonizer and native, gradually dissolved as individuals embraced their roles within the emerging hybrid society. Economic transformation proved most dramatic. Terra Nova Resources evolved into something barely recognizable as a corporation, more cooperative than competitive, more focused on quality of life than quarterly profits. Resource extraction continued, but through methods developed in collaboration with the planetary consciousness. Cryonite crystals were harvested from naturally shed growths rather than mined, while other minerals were extracted through biological processes that actually enhanced ecosystem health. Social structures reflected both species' influences. Governance combined human democratic principles with alien consensus mechanisms, decisions emerging from complex interplay between individual votes and collective psychic input. Education systems produced graduates equally comfortable manipulating technology and navigating psychic space, while healthcare integrated traditional medicine with alien biomanipulation techniques that bordered on miraculous. Cultural integration manifested in surprising ways. Human art forms adopted alien sensibilities, music incorporating harmonic patterns that resonated with planetary frequencies, visual arts exploring dimensions beyond conventional space-time perception. Festivals celebrated both human and alien cycles, solstices and equinoxes blending with alien growth seasons and psychic resonance periods. Language evolved to include concepts previously considered ineffable, new words arising organically from shared experiences. Scientific advancement accelerated exponentially. Research teams composed of both species tackled challenges ranging from faster-than-light travel to fundamental questions of consciousness itself. Breakthroughs in quantum mechanics revealed connections between psychic phenomena and subatomic particle behavior, while developments in neuroscience demonstrated how human brains could safely incorporate alien neural patterns. Most excitingly, experiments suggested possibilities for extending this symbiosis beyond ZWEX-7, potentially transforming human-alien relations throughout known space. Despite apparent success, challenges persisted. Population growth strained resources, especially as more children exhibited extreme sensitivity to the psychic field, requiring specialized care and education. Infrastructure needed constant adaptation to accommodate evolving alien-human hybrids, whose needs differed significantly from those of either parent species. Most critically, maintaining balance between species required constant vigilance against tendencies toward either dominance or dependency. The planetary consciousness itself faced difficulties. While benefiting from human innovation, it struggled with concepts of individuality and change inherent in human nature. Areas near human settlements showed signs of stress as alien components adapted to accommodate human presence, sometimes at cost to traditional functions. Thought weavers in particular exhibited unusual behavior patterns, suggesting strain from constant interface with human technology. To address these issues, the science team developed new approaches to symbiosis management. They created buffer zones where alien and human influences could interact gradually rather than abruptly, allowing both species to adjust naturally. Specialized interface protocols enabled more precise control over psychic exchanges, preventing accidental contamination while facilitating beneficial interactions. Most importantly, they established ongoing monitoring systems that could detect imbalance before it became critical. Human society adapted as well. New social norms emerged governing interaction with alien components, emphasizing respect and reciprocity over exploitation. Economic systems evolved to value ecosystem health alongside material wealth, incorporating psychic well-being into standard quality-of-life metrics. Education programs taught children from earliest age proper interface techniques and responsible coexistence practices. Perhaps most significantly, both species learned to embrace uncertainty as strength rather than weakness. The rigid boundaries between planned development and natural evolution gave way to more fluid approach, allowing room for unexpected synergies and spontaneous innovations. This flexibility proved crucial when unforeseen challenges arose, enabling rapid adaptation through combined human ingenuity and alien intuition. The story of ZYX-7 began attracting attention beyond its immediate environs. News of successful human-alien symbiosis spread through academic circles, drawing researchers from across settled space. Xenoanthropologists studied emerging hybrid culture, neuroscientists investigated adapted human brains, and environmental engineers examined sustainable development methods. Each visitor departed carrying not just data, but transformed perspectives shaped by direct experience of the planetary consciousness. These exchanges sparked broader changes throughout human civilization. Colonization policies shifted from resource extraction focus to genuine partnership approach, recognizing potential value in alien ecosystems beyond mere material wealth. Diplomatic protocols evolved to incorporate psychic communication possibilities, while legal frameworks adapted to address rights of collective consciousness entities. Most remarkably, public opinion transformed. What had once seemed impossible dream of peaceful coexistence with alien intelligence became tangible reality, inspiring hope for future encounters. On ZYX-7 itself, these developments brought both opportunities and challenges. Increased attention meant more resources for research and development, but also greater pressure to demonstrate viability of hybrid society model. Visitors required specialized orientation programs, while security measures intensified to prevent unauthorized interface attempts. Most significantly, the colony faced growing responsibility as example for future human-alien relations, each decision potentially setting precedent for encounters elsewhere. The planetary consciousness responded by extending its own influence beyond immediate environment. Through possessed visitors and recorded interface experiences, it began communicating directly with other worlds, sharing insights about sustainable development and interspecies cooperation. This expansion proved challenging. Different ecosystems required unique approaches, while varying human cultures responded differently to psychic contact. Nevertheless, gradual progress suggested possibility of galaxy-wide network of cooperating consciousnesses. 15 years after first contact, Dr. Vasquez stood atop observation platform overlooking transformed landscape. Twin suns cast familiar violet-gold light across horizon, illuminating city that defied conventional classification. Human structures intertwined with alien growth patterns, streets flowed like rivers of light, and citizens moved with grace, suggesting perfect harmony between physical and psychic realms. Her own transformation served as testament to possibilities. Once skeptical scientist now existed in constant state of partial interface, her thoughts flowing seamlessly between human and alien modes of consciousness. Colleagues showed similar adaptation, their work demonstrating synthesis of perspectives that once seemed mutually exclusive. Younger generations, born into this reality, navigated dual existence with ease that older residents found astonishing. Looking back, paths seemed inevitable, series of choices, each leading logically to next, yet impossible to predict from starting point. Mining operation that had threatened destruction instead catalyzed transformation, corporate greed giving way to genuine partnership, fear of unknown becoming foundation for unprecedented understanding. Most remarkably, both species retained essential identities while becoming something greater than sum of parts. Future held infinite possibilities. Research teams pursued applications of hybrid technology throughout settled space, while diplomatic missions carried lessons of ZYX-7 to other worlds facing similar challenges. Young people trained for roles in expanding network of human-alien partnerships, carrying hope that first contact need not mean conflict or conquest. Even stars seemed brighter, viewed through lens of shared consciousness that made entire universe feel like home. The legacy of ZYX-7 continues to shape human destiny. Its story serves as beacon for other colonies, demonstrating that coexistence with alien intelligence isn't just possible, but potentially transformative. Lessons learned here inform every new first contact, while technologies developed through human-alien partnership revolutionize civilization. Most importantly, the planetary consciousness stands as living proof that intelligence takes many forms, each worthy of respect and opportunity to contribute to galactic community.